Hey, good afternoon. How's everybody?
Good.
Okay, how are you?
Good, good. How are you, Aura? How are you, Keisha? Um, I have a good news and a bad news. Good news is that I got my computer back. But then, the bad news is uh, all the data in my computer is gone. They couldn't recover the data. So everything is not, most of the files that I used, basically used were backed up in my cloud and um, in my external drive. But the thing is, the files that I have most recently used before the computer crashed were not backed up. So it's gone. And I don't have, and this is now on Windows 11. My computer was originally on Windows 10. Um, so Windows 11 is a completely new system for me. I'm still kind of, getting myself used, orienteering myself in um, with Windows 11. I'm trying to still, getting used to it. And so a lot of things are have limitations. There are many limitations in what I can do. Another thing is I don't have Microsoft Office apps installed on this new computer. I mean, it's my old computer, but with the new system. So I have to use, I can use, Office apps like Excel on online, but it's got many limitations. I mean, a lot of things are limited there, um, and uh, but another good news is I got the whiteboard back, whiteboard, so I can use the whiteboard freely. Uh, but I'm still kind of struggling with the, for example, Excel. I can use Excel only this way. This is a disaster. And then even any file that I want to use, I have to do it like um, every I have to upload it to my OneDrive, and I have a couple of OneDrive accounts, and most of which I don't remember the password of. So the only OneDrive now I'm using is through to use Microsoft 365. I have to use it through the CUNY common site. So the OneDrive that I have is there is not the OneDrive that I normally use. So here's the difficulty. And so I have to upload the files that I need to use to OneDrive and then have to open it from there. It says download. What download? I mean, the local drive. How can they not open it right there? So this is what makes it so. See, it's asking for. This is not. Okay, this is a problem. This is weird. You should just be able to open it. Okay. All righty. All right. I saved it in the. I didn't save it in the local drive somehow. All righty. So I guess I'm ready to. I'm ready to use this. And why is it giving me such? Okay. And let me quickly check. Let me quickly check where we were in our last class. This is in your class. All right, so in our last class, we were basically
isolate only payment, which that's legitimate. It's not, okay. So our next example will be our next example is car financing.
okay. So we were there talking about that example. So the first example of present value of annuity was a lottery example, right? But then, as I said, lottery is a very rare event in your life, right? How many people win? How many people win lottery in their lives? I mean, it doesn't even happen once. It doesn't even happen once in the life. It doesn't even happen once, right? But in reality, it's not the case of lottery. But sometimes I don't know if you have ever seen commercials at night. I mean, if you watch TV late at night, sometimes you see those commercials about the accidents and injury. Of course, it's the lawyers who are it's the lawyers who are running those commercials on TV. you got injured, you got you had an accident, you got injured at work, or you got an accident, call us. Somebody and somebody, right? The lawyers. And together with that, you may have heard, you may have seen the commercials about the structured settlement. Do you have structured settlement from injury case or something like, from an accident? What does that mean? A settlement, structured settlement means, you're getting paid by the insurance company. I mean, of course, if you got injured at work, then the employer must have insurance, and then that insurance company will pay you according to the settlement. They will pay for the damages. They will pay. But usually it will be in the form of annuities. So let's say you're getting $2,000 every month. $2,000 every month. $2,000 is already good. Let's say you're getting $500 every month from that settlement for the next 3 years. Now, $500 doesn't amount to too much. I mean, if you think getting $500 every month, it's not a bad thing, but it's just piecemeal every time. You always want to know. Is there any way I can get that? The payment in lump sum? You might wonder. Yeah, in that case, there are commercials. If you watch TV late at night, you see those commercials. You have structured settlement. You want to get call us. We'll give you a big check. We'll give you a big check. I've seen those commercials. In the 90s. In the 90s, I don't know if they still have those commercials. These days. But if they do, what is that commercial all about? It's about the present value of annuity. Think about it. If you're getting $500 every month as as settlement from the injury, right? And previously, you would never know. I mean, people who got injured, most of them wouldn't know any idea about concept of present value of annuities. But if you think about it, why would those companies pay you a big check? They are basically paying you something less than the present value of those annuities. So in other words, they are buying that present value of annuities, the right to that claim. They are buying the right to that claim for annuities from you, right? For a lump sum check of something like whatever $2,000 or $20,000, but whatever the lump sum check may be, that cannot be greater than the present value of all those annuities. Make sense? Because otherwise, why would they pay you the money? Why would they pay you, like $20,000 to buy that right from you? Right? Does that make sense? So here's the thing. Lottery is not something that happens every day, right? It's not something, so it's not a realistic example. But what is realistic is the um, um, if you have such, settlement, court settlement from injury, um, then it could be, the case of present value of annuity that can come into play. And obviously, whatever they offer, you can tell whether it is, worth um, what you are receiving as annuity, right, or not. Our second example was buying a car, right? And in this example, let me. As I said, I got the. Okay. So here's the thing. So the price of the car is 30K, and you make a down payment of 6K. Okay, you make a down payment of 6K, which is a 20% down payment. So then the difference, 24K, it's the loan, right? So you don't have to worry about, you might wonder, so I must secure a loan first. I must take out a loan first and then go to the dealership and buy the car. No, you don't have to. Basically, the car dealership will arrange that for you. Most automakers have their own bank. Most automakers have their own financing arm. So they will, the dealerships will arrange the loan from the automaker's bank automatically. So basically, the car price was paid. If you made a 6K down payment, and the loan, it doesn't even pass through your hands. It doesn't even pass through your hands. It just goes directly to the dealership. Okay, so the dealership got paid, so they can release the car to you. So you drive out of the in the new car. You drive out of the dealership in the new car, and then the dealership told you your monthly payment is $500. Your monthly payment is $500. Then in the back of your head, you think, okay, if it is 500 and the interest rate is 6%, loan term is 5 years, so there will be 60 payments. And then, period, of course, if APR is 6%, periodic rate is 0.5%. So just mentally, you calculate, oh, well, since $500 is the monthly payment, is 60 months, over 5 years, I'll be paying 30K. And that seems like a reasonable deal because the loan is 24K, the difference is 6K, so 6K must be my interest that I pay. But then look, 6K if APR is 6%, right? Just even if you're not a very even if you're not a math genius, just a quick calculation using a calculator will tell you, oh, well, then my loan is 24,000, right? So 6% interest, just by a simple 0.06 annually. I mean, this is not the correct way of doing that, but just a rough rough estimate, annually this times 5 years. And you might think, oh, then I'm getting a good deal because, annually, 6% would be, 1,400 something, times 5, it should be 7.2K. So if I pay only 6K as interest, then I must be in a good deal. Well, that's where most people are making, a mistake because they are not trained in finance. And I've seen a lot of people, at the dealership, and I wanted to give them a counsel, but they seem like a just um, artist type or poet type. They came to the dealership, and on the piece of paper they are trying to, with a calculator and with a pen, they are trying to calculate what is the interest they pay over 5 years, and try to rationalize, try to justify um, what they heard. And I really have pity for them. I have sympathy for them, because they are being ripped off. First of all, here the point is you cannot calculate it that way. That's clearly not the right way. Two, as you're making payment, you cannot pay the same interest, because as you make the payment, you are paying down your principal. And as the principal goes down, you cannot have the same interest every year, right? Makes sense? So here are two ways you can check, right? Here are two ways you can check whether that $500 payment is the correct one or not. First of all, first is we find the present value of all those annuities. In other words, we find the sum of all those present values, right? Present value of all those, $500, right? Present value of all those $500, and compare it with the principal, which is 24K, right? If $500, if $500 is the correct monthly payment, present value of all of them must be exactly equal to your principal of 24K. Okay. Second, we can nail the exact payment. And I showed you how in the last class. We can exactly nail the payment. So so here's the thing. Basically, the present value of basically at time zero, when everything this this deal was sealed, when this deal was signed, with the prevailing interest rate at time zero, they must have found the calculated the payment, right, based on the principal of 24K, and it must be equal. These numbers must be equal, right? It must be equal. But if it is not equal, then if present value of all those annuities are greater than the principal, then you are being overcharged. You are being, ripped off. If the present value of all those annuities are less than the principal, you are undercharged, or you're ripping them off. And who are they? The bank, right? The lender, because your payment goes to the bank. But of course, at time zero, whatever the interest rate they used, based on that interest rate, they must be, the two sides must be equal, right? But otherwise, there's a problem. Over time, but as you make the payment a couple of years later, interest rate may have changed, the prevailing market rate, but then by using the prevailing market rate, there can be a discrepancy. But when you get a loan, the rate is fixed, right? When you get a loan, you are locking into a rate. So with the rate that you locked in at time zero, it must be equal. Otherwise, something's wrong. So using these two criteria, we can check if the payment is correct or not. First of all, we can solve for the present value of those annuities, right? And using, I'm just going to copy this formula, right? And copy and paste it up. And we get okay, what is this? Why is it? Something was copied. I didn't need to copy it there. But, you see, we come to the conclusion, right? So $500 payments, right? Monthly payments for 60 months. Those present value of annuities come to $25,862, which is greater than the this is bothering me, which is greater than your principal. Then this is a smoking gun, right? This is a smoking gun that you're being ripped off by the bank, right? So then you got to call your lawyer, right? You're being time to sue, right? The bank for ripping you off or cheating. They cannot. Usually, this doesn't happen. They cannot cheat with math. Next, we can nail the exact. Then, what is the exact payment? We can nail the exact payment because all you owe is 24K. The principal that you owe is 24K. The present value of all these, if this is the present value of annuities, the payment for that present value of annuities must be the correct payment. And the formula for that, I gave you that, I derived this formula last time. So I'll simply build that formula in there. So it's PVA times R times 1 plus R, close parenthesis, raised to N, divided by open parenthesis, open another, inner parenthesis, another, 1 plus a 1 plus r raised to n minus 1. Okay, hit enter, and there you go. We got 463.99, which is almost 464. If it is 464, then you are almost, overpaying, $36 every month, right? You're overpaying $36 every month. So this brings us to the next question, next topic, amortization. And then now let's think about what is an amortization? Before we move on to amortization, some of you might think, isn't it only right to, if I'm paying back only, am I paying back only 24K? Because I had my loan was 24K, that was principal. So with the interest, shouldn't I pay back more than 24K? No, you're not paying back 24K. You are actually paying back more. Think about it. Even every monthly payment already, every monthly payment, 464, every monthly payment is already comprised of principal and interest, right? So total of these 60 of them, you can easily calculate 60 of them, just roughly, 464 times 60 of them. Yeah, this is, a total of all of those, monthly payments. So you're paying interest, okay? 24K is only the present value of all of those payments. Present value of all of those, a monthly 464, right? So in other words, when you discount all of those monthly payments to time 0, then it must be equal to the original principal of 24K, right? So actually you're paying back principal plus interest, right? Because it is already, all those interest are already included in the payment, okay? And that brings us to also the question of, amortization. What is amortization? Amortization is basically paying down your debt. It's paying down debt in installments so that the principal will decrease in a decaying pattern. This is decaying pattern, in a decaying pattern, resulting in payment comprised of splitting into principal paid and interest paid, but splitting into maybe comprised of principal paid. Better expression is comprised of principal paid in increasing pattern, in increasing proportion, and interest paid in decreasing proportions. Okay, so you may have wondered, yeah, if the correct monthly payment is $464, then it's comprised of principal and interest, and then it must be okay. About $400 is the principal and 64 is interest, maybe. No, it's not going to be in constant proportion like that. It will be in different proportion every time, right? And the proportion will, and the picture will look like this. You see in this diagram, in this picture, right? These yellow bars, right? I mean, partially green, partially yellow bars represent monthly payments. Okay, in this example, the monthly payment is like $700, almost 700, right? $699. So it's constant through and through between 2010 and 2040, right? That's 30 years, every month it's like 700, right? It's monthly because total of 360 payments, yeah, over 30 years, 360 is monthly payment. So it is constant. But what is yellow and what is the green? Yellow is the principal portion of the principal, right? Green is the interest portion in each monthly payment. So then what is it telling you? Early on, every month is 700, but early on it's mostly interest. It's mostly interest. And as time goes by, interest gets smaller and smaller and smaller, and the principal payment gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So by the end, it's mostly principal, a very small interest. Okay, then what is that red curve? So it looks like in this example, they got like $100,000 loan, because I can tell in 2010 balance. If this is at the end of 2010, it cannot be at the end of 2010 because 99,315. So whatever it may be, so it's like interest in 2010, the total interest they paid was 5,608. Principal paid was 689. So if you add them up, it's like it's like 1,600, right? If the monthly payment is like 700, this is almost like 9-month payment. So let's say the original loan was whatever it may be. Let's say original loan was 100,000, and then every month, because they're making a payment which includes principal, so the principal will have to go down. Month after month, principal will have to go down. The principal will go down in a decaying pattern. And you might wonder, also then the principal was only 700 here? No. I said, think about it. How can it be only 700? The principal was something like 150,000 or 160,000. I mean, based on these numbers, right? But then the height of this red curve is pretty much like the same as the height of these yellow bars. So that can be confusing, but you must understand these two numbers are on different axes. Different axes. You understand? So let's say the red curve is on left vertical axis, right? In other words, it's like this. We can have two axes. Vertical axis 1, so let's call it y1. Vertical axis 2, so let's call it y2. Of course, horizontal axis is x. Let's say y1 is, the highest point in y1 is, let's say, 160K. So then, each notch is like, 10K, let's say. Okay, I don't have to do it with a mouse. I can use my pen. And the second axis, second vertical axis, y2, the highest point is 700. And then each notch is like 100. Okay, with two vertical axes, we can have one curve declining, right? And this represents, okay, so this is 160K, 159, 150, okay? And then for monthly payment, right? We can use, we use the right vertical axis, right vertical axis, and so it means right vertical axis, and so it means the highest point is 700. So everyone understands that, right? We can have two different vertical axes. So they measure, the unit of measurement is different, right? The level of, it's all dollars, but, each notch represents different amount. Okay? Is everyone clear about that? I don't know. I have how many people? I have 9 people. I don't hear any.
I somewhat understand.
Okay, good. Yeah, good, Keisha. So this picture is showing you basically, it's capturing the essence of amortization. Amortization means, paying down your loan so that the principal would decline in a decaying pattern, while, your monthly payment breaks down into interest and principal in different proportions every month. Okay, so therefore, the amortization is the word amortize, right? To amortize, the verb. Think about it. The radical of this word is this. The radical of this word is, mort, which means, in French, mort, dead. Il est mort. He's dead. Mort, right? Mortality, right? Mortality. A child, child mortality rate, or immortal. The word, the radical of the word means, death. And so, how did that word come into this, into finance? Actually, this means death is the result of decay. I mean, if something decays, eventually it dies. Think about it. And I said the principal declines in a decaying pattern. And I believe I talked about this in the past. You have 3 different patterns of growth. For example, let's say I should. This is dollar amount. This is, time. Let's say over time, the company's revenue is growing either linearly. This is just linear growth, constant growth rate, linear. And then compared to that, this is called, exponential growth, exploding or exponential growth. Whereas this is called decaying pattern, right? Actually, I didn't draw it well. I didn't draw it that well. Let me. So what can you find here? Basically, this growth pattern, let's call it B, let's call this A, let's call this C. This growth pattern is constant. It's growing at a constant rate. Whereas C was growing at a fast rate early on. The slope of the curve is very steep early on, but the slope is getting flatter and flatter and flatter, completely flat, and then decline. Slope is negative. Something like C is called, it's here early on is called increasing at a decreasing rate, right? In economics, this is called, increasing at a decreasing rate. Yeah, revenue is increasing, but its growth rate is decreasing, increasing at a decreasing rate. And then this is declining. The more the time goes, the decline will be faster, right? Which is, basically called the decaying pattern. And then this is called exploding pattern, exploding or explosive, right? So early on, the slope is very flat, right? But as time goes by, the slope is getting steeper. That means it's increasing at an increasing rate, increasing at an increasing rate. And this is called, exploding pattern, or exponential growth. Exponential is showing exponential growth pattern. Okay, whereas this is, it's growing, but at a decreasing rate, and then it is decaying, right? Anything that decays will eventually die, right? And then think about it. the original loan, at time 0 was 160K, and it's decaying. Eventually, it dies. Therefore, amortization. Makes sense? Therefore, amortization. Okay. Again, sometimes you see some people making a presentation at a company, and they are trying to they are saying, I mean, you would hear people trying to like highlight their performance, saying, since I joined this team, our team's growth has been exponential, and they want to use the word, and then they are showing the graph. The graph was, showing, let's say, not necessarily this part, but showing like this, and they are saying, oh, the growth of our team, right? Our team's performance has been exponential, and they are showing this type of graph, or this type of graph, or this type of graph, right? And they are saying it was exponential since I joined this team, blah, blah, blah. That clearly means that person doesn't know what he's talking about, right? It's clearly not exponential. This is not exponential, right? This is not exponential. This is not exponential, right? Only this one is exponential, right? But the rest of them are not exponential. This is not exponential. This is not exponential, right? They just want to use the word, right? By using that word exponential, they think they are, they know something, but actually they don't, right? So we're gonna do the amortization schedule. It's 1:58, so it's about time to take a break. So we'll take a break, okay, 10-minute break, and reconvene at 2:10, and then we will do the example of amortization schedule. Okay, all righty, 10-minute break. All right, we're back. We're back. So let's go into our Excel file, right? Let's go into our Excel file and go down to row 28. Okay, and you will notice that row 28, below row 28, you will see in column A, the numbers are already input there, 1 through 60. Okay, that's payment number. So basically, amortization schedule is, excuse me, amortization schedule is what makes it's a schedule that shows the breakdown of monthly payments into interest and principal. Okay, into interest paid and principal paid, right? So basically, to do this, of course, the payment must have already been calculated, and then it's easier to have our table it's called, freeze panes. Okay, it's better to freeze our panes, window panes. So that means, we are going to select B29 and select B29, and we go to view and click freeze pane. Okay, basically, yeah, if you do that, you will see vertical line and horizontal line appearing, to the right and above B29. That means as you scroll down, you won't lose, the label. You won't lose the side of the label. And as you scroll to the left, even as you scroll to the left, you don't lose the sight of the label. In other words, what month it is. You don't lose. And also, here, these payment numbers, they were automatically generated. How? Okay. If I delete, you can, delete that. And first you enter 1, 2, 3. It is called, serial number generation. There's, it's going to be a serial number, right? A series of numbers, actually, series of numbers. Numbers that start from 1, and it's an integer. It will be integer with the interval of 1 between each numbers. In other words, 1, 2, 3, like this. And so you highlight those 3 numbers and bring your cursor down to the lower right corner, and you drag it down. You drag it down until you reach 5960. Actually, it should be 61. It should be more than 60 because we started from row 29, right? So that should at least be 89. It's hard to see Oh, okay. It's 58 there. You drag it from there. You drag it one more time. Yeah. So Excel will automatically, understand your intent, right? It's a series of numbers starting from 1 with, interval of 1, integers with interval of 1. And then our payment, we know already our payment. Payment is, this, and we're going to lock it. You need to lock it because every month is going to be the same thing. So I want to paste it down. But if you don't lock it, it's going to point to the wrong cell. The cell that it is pointing to must be locked into A23. Okay? And then as you drag it down, you'll drag it down until you reach what 88, row 88. And then at the bottom, so everything will be every month is going to be 463.99. And at the bottom, I have already entered sum, auto sum. So it's going to so think about it. The total of all the payments, right? Sum to total of all the payments sums to 28,839. Okay. But the present value of all of that must be 24K. And, that's why we found, this payment, right? And we break it down into interest paid and principal paid. Okay. Interest paid first. Interest is 5%. I mean, 0.5% every month, right? Every month is going to be the same interest. And we're going to lock it. We're going to lock it. And then we're paying, because it's going to be 0.5% month after month, and we're paying 0.5% of what? We're paying 0.5% of what as interest in the first month? Anybody? Can anybody tell me? We have 6 people. What happened to the rest of the class? Anyone can tell me? We're paying 0.5% of what as interest? As interest, we're paying 0.5% of what in the first month? Anyone? Are you there? Is anyone there? Angel?
I'm here, but I don't know the answer.
Liz, can you? Huh? Say that again. Someone said.
Oh, the 463.
463. Oh no. Who? 463 is. Listen. Where am I? When you pay interest on the principal. In other words, you pay principal against you pay interest against principal. This is not principal. 463 is not principal. It's only the payment, monthly payment. What is the principal you're facing in the first month? Can anyone tell me what's the principal you're facing in the first month? What is the principal you are facing in the first month? The principal you are facing in the first month is 24. Huh?
24,000.
Yes, but I already said that. 24. Yeah. And who was that? Who was that?
Aura. I'm sorry, my
All right.
microphone is kind of funny today.
Okay, Aura. All right, I'll still give you 0.25 because, at least, um, this is a sign that someone is paying attention. Uh, uh, so, all right. Yeah, in the first month, the principal you are facing is 24K. Of course, you will be paying, 0.5% of this principal. So, interest in the first month is this. And then the principal paid is, what is the principal paid in the first month? Anyone? What should be the principal paid in the first month?
The payment minus the interest, which is
Yeah, yeah, that's enough. Payment minus interest paid. Yes, this is just the logic. Was it Aura? Was it Aura again?
yes,
Okay, Aura, you got another 0.25. Yes, the payment minus interest paid is the principal paid. So this is the principal paid. And what should be the principal balance now? At the end of the first month, after making this payment, the principal balance will be?
24,000 minus the payment.
Yes. Oh, not the payment, 24,000 minus,
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm
payment?
sorry. The principal paid. I'm sorry.
Yes. It's going
Yes,
to be this
23.
minus the principal paid. Okay? Okay, Aura, you got another 0.25. So that's the first month. In the second month, we can just we'll drag it down, but it's not complete. It's not done yet. We'll drag it down. We'll have to make a little adjustment because interest paid E23 is correct. It's always 0.25, and G24. Actually, G24, there's nothing in G24. As you can see, the rows have been truncated, right? Between row 23 and row 27. So 24, 25, 26, I truncated them because there's nothing there. And there's something there, but there's no data in column G. And I just don't want it to, I just didn't want to give too much space between data, necessary data. So actually, think about it. In second month, our interest should be the interest rate times the principal in the second month. And the principal in the second month is actually this one. Isn't that right? It should be E29. Because in the second month, that's what the principal is. Then you hit enter, and then this is correct. It's the difference between the two. And the principal balance it needs to be adjusted too, because it's not G24. It's going to be from E29, right? It should, you should subtract principal paid. And then from there on, it's going to be a walk through the park, right? It's just going to be a walk through the park. It's just, easy breezy. So everything else must be the same thing, the same logic. So you highlight those three cells, you drag it down. You drag it down until you hit the bottom, where, okay, here, month 60, right? Then here, look at row 88, the month 60. Principal, when you have made these payments like this, your principal balance must be zero. Isn't it right? Because you have paid off everything, all the principal. And the principal paid, sum of all the principal paid must be 24K. And it's exactly 24K. Sum of all of those principal paid is 24K. And then principal balance must be 0. Yeah, 0. Right? You have paid off your principal, so it must be 0. And the sum of all, this is the sum of all the interest paid. Right? And then think about it. You add these two numbers, interest paid and principal paid, must be this number. It must be equal to this. And this is sum of all the payments, monthly payments, right? Sum of all the monthly payments. What happened? Oh, no, 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 no. What happened? Oh. No, this is not it. I have it. But you see what I'm talking about, right? You see what I'm talking about. Yeah, this is it. I lost this. So sum of all the payments is this, and by auto sum command we got that. Okay, but that also happens to be the sum of these two, right? That makes sense. So that brought us to, in other words, if you also here you can verify this plus this must be the same thing, right? Okay. So it checks out. Our amortization schedule is complete and it's impeccable. Our amortization schedule is it checks out, right? Sum of all the principal paid is exactly equal to the principal, and principal balance is 0 at the end of year month 60, right? And sum of all the payments is equal to interest paid plus sum of interest paid plus sum of principal paid, right? So this is amortization schedule. I mean, if you get the hang of it, right? If you get the hang of it, you can build an amortization schedule like this in like 5 seconds. Of course, you will need to first build this template, right? That will take, not more than 30 seconds. And then, then actually, first you will have to have this row, right? So maximum 2 minutes, you can generate this amortization schedule. And this will be a great asset when you can demonstrate something like this in front of a job interview, that you can build amortization schedule in a split second, right? This will be definitely this will land you a job, right? You just display this kind of abilities. Another thing the amortization schedule can tell you is what is your buyout amount. So for example, for the first 12 months you made payments, right? You made payments, and you got tired of making monthly payments. So and you came by a large sum of money. You came by a large sum of money. So then you want to pay off completely, right? In other words, you want to buy out this car, right? Instead of continuing to pay for the remaining 4 years. Also, if you extend this model to 30 years, it's like a mortgage, 30-year mortgage, right? And in that case, it's been about 15 years, and you came by a large sum of money. You're tired of making this mortgage payment. You want to buy out the house. You want to pay off the mortgage, then you fully buy out the house. In this case, you fully buy out the car. And then the question is, so how much do I owe now? You only owe principal balance, right? Isn't that right? You only owe principal balance because after paying off this principal balance, then you don't have any interest to worry about because you have paid it off. So this is your buyout amount, payoff amount. Of course, in reality, there will be a few more dollars. Probably at least $20, $30, some transaction cost, right? Some fees, right? So, but it won't be much different from this amount. Okay, the fees will be just about $20, $30, not more. So this is what amortization schedule is. Okay, so any questions so far? Any questions? Any questions? All right, if you have no questions, then we'll call it a day. We'll call it a day, and we'll see you this Wednesday. Okay? Have a great afternoon, everyone. I'll stop sharing and stop recording. All right?
Okay, have a good day. See you on Wednesday.
You too. All right, see you on Wednesday, Keisha.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
All right, take care, everyone. All righty, stop recording.